And they're much more simple. So I'm just testing the new Phi MAESTRO 2, size 22. I've also been flying the size 21. I was flying the 21 at different loads between 90 and 95, and the 22 I'm flying at currently at about 96, 97 all up. Welcome to the Flybubble Paragliding channel.
We are free flight experts and equipment specialists helping you get the best flying experience.
Well, just landed after a really good testing flight on the Phi MAESTRO 2. So yeah, it was a really good test. We had it wasn't super turbulent, but there was some bit more sporty air. The other days I've flown have been really much more high pressure and very punchy, and a good test of the kind of collapse resistance and how the glider deals in rough conditions. I'm finding the MAESTRO 2 very easy to launch for a high B wing, even easier than its predecessor, the MAESTRO. Easy to inflate and easy to hold down on the ground, easy to manage. In light conditions it just inflates very easily and comes up nicely. It's not a glider that's hanging back and kind of you have to really fight with to get into the air in very light conditions. Stronger conditions, when it's stronger and gustier, well, actually I found the MAESTRO wants to come up and fly, but it's easy to hold down, and so you just give the risers a little bit of a pull, a little bit of body, and as soon as you see the glider coming up, you know it's coming up. You don't have to keep hanging onto the risers like you do with some wings that might want to drop back. It does want to fly, and it is quite quick, so you need to step under the glider and give it a touch of brake at the top. Kiting is lovely. I really like kiting. I enjoy playing around on the hills. It's one of the things I really like about hills and nice grassy slopes. It's a fantastic wing to just put the glider off to one side, and you can really easily control it and feel where it goes with the brakes to get it just at the angle you want. As soon as you bring the MAESTRO 2 up above your head, what you find is the glider feels very solid, and yeah, really solid across the sail and collapse resistant, which makes it easier to keep the glider flying above your head. I think the MAESTRO 2 feels reasonably more solid than its predecessor, the MAESTRO. The whole glider is more solid across the wing, having more cells, plus the mini ribs, maybe also the new rods in it, which are a little bit stiffer. All leading edge just feels more solid and incredibly efficient. So straight away, as soon as you pull the glider up, you have that feeling, and in the air that feeling just grows really, and the more I've been flying it, the more I felt like that. MAESTRO 2 similar, the agility's great, but it just turns a little flatter and climbs just a bit better, so that's really good. In terms of feedback, the MAESTRO 2 is still a glider a bit like its predecessor it's a feedbacky glider. It talks to you, it tells you what's going on in the air. In today's conditions where you had to really feel where the lifty lines were and things like that, I found it fantastic for that. I could still just follow the lifty lines through feeling what the glider was telling me and just work my way up, tracking under the clouds, and even when there wasn't clouds I could just feel the lines of lift. But with the MAESTRO 2 you've got that feedback, but with more solidity and collapse resistance, and also more efficiency, biting through the air and pulling up wind, and biting into the thermals, even though the thermals today got quite wind blown. One of the key aspects that Phi have said about the MAESTRO 2 is about the performance. From my tests so far, repeated glides next to pilots on original MAESTRO, the MAESTRO 1, Ozone Delta, which is a C-class glider. Nancy's been flying the Gin Avid. As my overall picture is, the MAESTRO 2's glide is very impressive. It's very efficient, especially when you start to use the bar. From my test so far, it feels like it's one of the fastest high Bs, and the glide performance is awesome. Very, very impressive. I was really tearing up wind. Very unscientific. That's me just communicating my feeling to you. I'll leave others to try and do lots of scientific tests. I'm just communicating my experience and my feelings to you so that you can take on board what I say, and then at the end of that make your mind up. It's got all round very good performance in every area: glide, speed and sync rate, climb rate. I think the trim speed and glide are especially very good. The climb rate is very good, is excellent, one of the best. The glider feels very solid and efficient. It feels like that speed is very usable, and I think more so than the original Maestro 1. 76 cells and mini ribs as well, right across the glider. It's got an amazing leading edge. Then that's not entirely surprising. It's also down to the internal construction. Putting all together, the Maestro 2 feels very, very solid and efficient. It's a very agile, very pleasurable, sporty feeling glider, very much about for pilots who love the handling. For me, the Maestro 2 absolutely is fantastic in that area. Lovely handling, a real pleasure to fly. It's a glider that really puts a smile on my face. For pilots who enjoy feedback and a glider that talks to them and is nimble and agile, but at the same time is very solid and confidence inspiring, then I think the Maestro 2 is should be very, very high on their list. I think the Maestro 2 is going to be a great glider for pilots upgrading from a low or a mid B who want to upgrade into the high B class but don't want something that's too hot, too sporty. A C class pilot, sports pilot, wanting to get less demanding glider but wanting to keep the kind of energy and agility and performance and not have a glider that's too dull and boring. Well, I don't think they're going to be disappointed with the Maestro 2 at all. Starting with the A's, so these are the R07 risers, which we've seen before on other Phi gliders, and they're much more simple than some other three-liner risers with a BC system. They're also simpler to manage on the ground, and they have advantages, I find, in terms of the ground handling, especially due to the simplicity. Split A's, and then we go on to the B's. Phi have gone with a kind of system which I first saw on the Supair Savage. They've got no B riser at all. What they've gone for is a very heavy duty Dyneema cord line, and that's then a good protection against any kind of dimensional instability in the glider going out of trim. Because you've got the two run stand pulleys, the load on it is very light. I think it's the lightest of all the BC systems that I've used. Got this nice handle on here. It's not adjustable, so that's an advantage of the Mental 7. You can actually adjust the height of that. The R07 risers are also a bit longer. The Phi R&D teams found on their testing the three-liner version actually had a slight advantage in terms of performance, in terms of its climb rate, a more clear advantage in how solid and sort of cohesive and balanced the whole glider felt. So that's why they're settled on going for the three-liner version. Otherwise they would have gone for the 2.5 version. I think by now you've got the idea. I really like this glider. I think it's superb. I hope you've enjoyed this first impressions review of the Phi Maestro 2. There's loads more videos on our channel, go and check them out. We've literally got hundreds of videos on there. Also, you might not know, but we've got the Flybubble knowledge base. Go on our website and check that out. You can go to the blog or go into the footer and look for Flybubble knowledge base. In there we've got hundreds of articles on everything from gear guides to flight skills. Also, we've got a section on learning to fly, and we've got a whole load of tips on how best to fly, how to keep yourself safe, then also how to get the most out of your flying, how to stay up better and how to fly further, how to get higher and all that stuff. So go and check that out. Always trickier ground handling on a flat field, especially when it's gusty like this. That's my excuse, isn't it? It's my excuse, I'm sticking to it. Woohoo! Up! Go! That's what could possibly go wrong.